Hi, good morning here on the West Coast. My name is Lauren Page. You are new to my world. It always takes a second to configure here in the Facebook world. It's like doing its thing. I think I'm on properly. Um, Welcome. I am thrilled and over the moon that you are here. It is January 2nd. And I don't know about you, but my algorithm is serving me up every different kind of, new year, new me, goals, vision board, do it this way, do it that way. And so I do not take it lightly that you are here with me. In this exact space and time. So the funny thing is I've actually run this group for the past 3 years. And as I was coming into this year, so much of my business and what I coach women on is business and entrepreneurship, and specifically creative women, which means that you are doing something a little bit off the beaten path, whether it's a service or a product or any and all of the above. And so when I came into it this year, I was like, well, I do want to teach them the life wheel and like why that's important, but really like my heart and my entire life's history in my professional sense has always been entrepreneurship. So I should probably be teaching on that. So what we are going to do in this space is, if you are coming for the like goal casting, vision casting for 2025 in a holistic, full-bodied space, you are in the right spot. And as promised, I'm going to give you the goods on the business stuff, because that's why so many of you are here. So I want to go over a little housekeeping as we kick off. We're going to be here for 3 days, the next 2 days. Today is all about uncovering. So the nice thing is, like, it's not a lot of heavy lifting. There are quite a few worksheets, which I'll tell you about, but they're fun. This is like, I always like to say, this is like the Cosmo quiz day. And know that then tomorrow we're going to focus on the vision. So today you don't have to have any of the answers. I'm just going to pull up a couple notes here to make sure that I stay on track. Fun fact, this is one of those interesting, so maybe we'll just start off. We're just going to keep it real here. We're going to start off with, I'm going to give you some various little like biz lessons, life lessons as I go through this training. And there's this interesting thing in entrepreneurship where you want to show up in an aligned space when things feel good, when things are clicking, when you're getting that kind of like those God wings, those universe wings of like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then there's other days where you're like, I need to show up and follow through on the commitments that I said I was going to do. So as I am coming to in real time, my family, my partner, and we have a set of 2 almost 3-year-old twins, have just returned from Denmark, which is where my partner is from. And so we spent the past 10 days there, and that's great. But what was interesting is I have been so excited for this group, you guys. Like, this is my favorite event of the whole year. It's completely free. I have some paid offerings, but that's not what this is about. And we traveled with a set of twin toddlers for 31 hours due to delays and rerouting and just truly trying to get from Europe to the West Coast. So yesterday I was like, oh my gosh, I am completely sleep deprived. We're taking care of our kids. And I knew this was scheduled for today. And I thought, well, better put your money where your mouth is, Lauren. So as I come to you, know that you are getting a real human who is also balancing things like motherhood. A lot of my clients also have other jobs, other obligations. So if you are here and you're like, I'm just in the starting off phase of this passion project, this entrepreneurship thing, or maybe you're like very well established and you're in the groove of it, like, there is a space for everyone. All right, so why am I actually qualified to talk to you about this? I'm going to go a little bit into my story and why we're here, and then we will go through the logistics and the training for today. So I am somebody who has always been obsessed with personal and professional growth. I think it's because I was a Girl Scout back in the day, slinging cookies. And then I've never actually had a jobby job. I've never had like a corporate job, if you will. I have always kind of paved the way and made up jobs for myself, or aligned myself with companies, or done something more of that nature. So, and I'm 39 years old at the time of this recording, so know that you can do that successfully. And through that arc of the past 2 decades, of course, I've had massive failures and massive successes and everything in between. And I think if you're in this group on some level, you just want to do better. you want to spice things up, you want to do better, you want to grow where you're currently at, or you want to really dive into a totally different path. So it was fun getting to read some of your intros because I know some of your stories. I'm like, ooh, I see that she wants to go this way. And, my background professionally is actually in the health and fitness space, which if you're like, well, how does that relate to business? Something that I'm really passionate about. And I almost thought about taking out what we normally do in this group, like the actual life assessment, because I know that you guys are here for business. And so I thought, well, I can't properly teach business without the whole spectrum of the life wheel. And if you are working with me, I'm somebody who very passionately believes that we should have a quality of life alongside our business. I've had a business endeavor in the past where that was not promoted. And so it's very, very important to me that like you do get to like be the present mama that you want to, or that you get to have the robust travel schedule that you want to, and that your finances aren't your personal finances aren't tanking because your business finances are doing something different. So keep that in mind as we work together. And like I said, I honor that you're here with me. I can share with you, I guess, the two things that I think make me different in this space if you are been in personal and professional growth. One is that this is everything that I'm sharing with you that I wish I would have had along the way. So it's all stuff that I'm a true believer that we need both the strategy and the energetics. We need the right brain, the left brain, the femme, the masculine, the yin and the yang, all of that. But we truly need both. So I've worked with really incredible business coaches in my past where it's been like spreadsheets, and like, quite frankly, they like did not care about my little soul on the side. And that's fine. And then conversely, I've also worked with like very like feminine woo, like let's just like imagine it's going to come to us and it will. And like there wasn't really any structure also. So my hope and my like prayer whenever I start any kind of container, free, paid, long, short, is that that you're getting both with me, and so that you really have a well-rounded experience. The other thing that I really hold the space for, and that's what's going to lead us into these exercises over the next 3 days, are 2 timelines. So this time of year, it's very buzzy. This is like the Super Bowl of personal growth, to do vision boards and all of these like big manifestation things. And so, yes, and what I would like you to hold the lens of for the next 3 days is I always hold 2 timelines. I want you to have that big, audacious vision casted, like, the dream house on the beach, or like saving babies in Africa, or whatever the thing is that gets you really excited, because that's imprinted in your soul and in your subconscious. And where I see people go wrong is they're like, well, wait a minute, like I'm such a loser, I'm such a failure. It didn't come to fruition by X date or X amount of years, or fill in the blank. And then we really start to beat ourselves up, and that's when our like things don't come into fruition. So the other timeline I like to hold as you're going through the lens today is 6 to 12 months. You can get a lot of shit done in the next 6 to 12 months. Really magical things. And so as you're evaluating some of the things I'm asking you to evaluate, you want to get on board. Your brain will typically get on board with about 50% more output than you're currently doing. So that's like a fancy way of saying this. If you're currently making $50,000 a year and you're like, but I want to make 200, your brain hasn't quite figured out how to connect the dots to that yet. So you will actually get to the 200,000 much faster if you say, all right, I know how to do 50, I can do 75. I know how to do 75, I can do 100, and so on and so on. You'll get there much quicker when you do have kind of like, those more realistic goals. So I never believe in like, selling snake oil here in the professional or growth area. All right, so that's the gist of the themes that we're going to be going over as you go through that lens. Lay of the land is I will be popping on daily with a training as we are here today. Tomorrow and Saturday will be 9 a.m. Pacific time. And tomorrow is going to be about vision. And then the third day is going to be how do we actually stop self-sabotaging, which if we're being serious, like I don't want to say all the days aren't important because they are, but day 3 is the reason why so many people don't show up to the gym in March, or like fall off whatever their XYZ New Year's resolution goals are. So that's going to be a super, super important day. Do not miss it. And then my hope is that you walk away with this like really bright, shiny, excited, biz plan, if you will, like biz and soul plan for what you want to create for yourself in 2025. Here we are. And you know, I want to speak to the people that are like, I don't know what I want. And there's been years for that for me as well. There's some years that I come into this exercise, and I do this every single year, where I'm like, ooh, I already know exactly what I want, and the next metrics and the next, you know, thing we're working on. And then there's other years where I'm like, I want to grow. I want to make more money. I don't know. So it's okay if you feel that way. The purpose of day one is actually to help you with that. So do not worry if that's you. What else can I help you with here? There's going to be a Google Drive. So after our post today, after my live video shuts off, there will be a post that goes up, and it's going to give you a link to a Google Drive. So you can't share your screen with Facebook Live unless if somebody can like shine some insight on that for me, that would be great. But I don't think you can. Otherwise, I'd show you exactly the physical contents in there, but I'll be going over them as we chat. So you'll get access to those PDFs, those worksheets, and that will be linked up as soon as I hop off each day. The replay will be emailed out. So, you know, feel free to invite a friend. This is always more fun when you get to like have a sounding board with someone to be like, what did you put on your sheets? What did you put on yours? And have that kind of accountability and inspiration. It's so much more fun with a friend. Thank you, Siobhan, for bringing your girl in here. And if you want to, you know, like forward the emails and all that good stuff, that's available as well. There will be daily Starbucks gift card giveaways, because you can't use a nice like cozy cup of tea or caffeinated cup of coffee as someone who's coming off of very little sleep. So the way that you get entered is by participation. So, you know, what's great about sharing is that it helps other women in this group see what's possible. Like, oh, I didn't know I like wanted a private chef, but now I do. So be sure to share. You'll be commenting, you'll get entries. If you share it on social, like you're in this group, or any kind of tags with myself, you'll get an extra 5 entries, and so on and so on. So that's the fun prize giveaway. What else before we dig in? I think that's it for logistics. Okay. Yes, that's it for logistics. So now let's get into like what we're actually talking about today. Uncovering. What I would love to offer as we jump into day one is to omit the two mindsets. The I already know mindset. I know some of you that are in this group. Some of you are new to me, which is really fun, but some of you I know, and like we go way back, which means I am not the first time you are hearing this information. You know, like there's not really an original thought in the personal and professional growth space. That's kind of a bold statement that I just said that. But in reality, it's all of the same thing, that you are trying to find the mentor or the person or the guidance that's going to help you see it in a new way, in a fresh way. Whenever I would go, my background's in Pilates, whenever I would go to workshops, these like weekend long seminars, I'd always say, if I can get one gold nugget, my money was worth, like my money was well spent. And so going into things with a beginner mindset is going to be huge. I have to say this to myself every time. This is probably like one of my fatal flaws, right? I mean, I go into trainings and I'm like, oh, I already know this. If I already knew it, I wouldn't need to be here, personally. That's how I feel when I go into trainings. So I would love to offer that to you, to just come into this with fresh eyes. If this is material you've seen before, some of you have done this with me year after year, and even though I'm tweaking it, like some of it's going to be the same. So come into it with fresh eyes, fresh perspective. You're in a new place. You're a different person than you were in 2024, although it was just 48 hours ago. And the other thing I can say as a reflection of the past going to the future, whatever happened in 2024, for good or for bad, like let's close that chapter. So often if we get to the end of a year, and I see this with my business clients, and if we don't hit all of our magical goals and things that we wanted, we weaponize that going into the next year. We somehow think that just because we didn't hit that exact metric on the final hour of the final night, that it means something for the next day, and it doesn't. So I would love to offer you that as well. All right. I really wish I could share my screen, but I can't. So what you will see that we're going to go through today are 5 different documents. Let me pull them up. Yes. Do I want to go over the documents first? I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story before we do documents. So what's neat about this is some of you have been here for a hot minute with me. And if you have, you might know my story. And so what I can offer in that sense is this time around, maybe see if you can find more similarities than differences. And the reason I say that is I know for myself, when I am investing, and that to me means not just money, but it means time. You're here on a Thursday morning, early for us West Coasters. When I choose to invest my time and resources into somebody, it's typically because they have gotten results, or they have a way of thinking that I want to adopt and adapt and succeed in. Like I want those same results, or I want that same way of thinking and perspective. So the reason that I feel that way is because there's something in me that is very similar to them, right? Like you're not, I don't know about you, but I am personally not taking trainings from world-renowned heart surgeons. Do I think that they are like incredible? Yes, they're saving lives, but there's not really anything in my blueprint that is supposed to be a heart surgeon. So that doesn't spark my interest. Now, what typically happens when we're in these spaces is we think, oh, two things. We think, must be nice for her, like she's some kind of like magical unicorn. Or we think that's like kind of that low level snarkiness, which I say all of this because I have been there. Or we kind of graduate into like, well, you know, that works for her, but it will never work for me. That's also that kind of space of finding the differences versus the similarities. So as I share my story, I hope that you can take little tidbits of maybe that you have been in a similar space. And as I share it, my hope is that you will also get some like business and life tidbits as well to take with you. So to start, I grew up as a theater kid, a theater major in school. So I love that we have someone in here that does set design and all of that. And I moved to LA at 18 to be an actress. And, you know, it turns out I was not skinny enough or pretty enough to be an actress in Los Angeles at that time. So, you know, after all of the turmoil that the entertainment industry brings on in terms of body issues and mental health, I ultimately went back to school for dietetics and nutrition because I thought, all right, if I can learn about food, I can like solve the crazy in my head of all of this, you know, yo-yo dieting, up and down, no particular health practices. And so through there, and I'm going to take you through my business timeline. Some of you know my personal timeline, but for our purposes in this group, I'll take you through my business timeline. This will also shed some light as to like why I'm qualified to speak to you today. Went to school for nutrition and dietetics, ultimately found Pilates, which was the first time I was like, wow, exercise can be a way of fun and not just a means to an end. And then this is life lesson number one, life and biz lesson number one. Do things if you don't know any better. So I was 25 years old living in Charleston, South Carolina. I had been training clients out of somebody else's studio at the time, and they decided they were going to move, so like close up shop. And then I was like, well, what do I do? I've just spent a whole year literally putting up door flyers, pounding the pavement, building up my private practice and getting clients. And I thought, well, what if I opened up my own brick and mortar? What if I opened up my own studio? And you guys, it sounds very romantic and glamorized, but you have to know, like, I embarrassingly, I mean, God bless 25-year-old Lauren that had so much gumption. I wrote a business plan. I took that business plan and you guys, I took it from bank to bank and asked for a commercial business loan with no collateral as a 25-year-old. And some of them very politely were like, this might be a good angel investor opportunity, meaning like, no way in hell is anybody gonna give you money without any kind of experience or collateral out there. So know that where there is a will, there's a way. I ultimately, and this is something we can chat about in your business metrics as well, I had this very, very fluffy business plan and I streamlined it to the very basics and I got that business off the ground. So it's so doable. The next step in my journey is I spent the next 4 years building up that studio, blood, sweat, tears, you know, well, I shouldn't say blood, sweat, tears, but like pounding the pavement. I didn't have children. I really didn't have much else going on, so I could pour everything into it and spend the whole like 16-hour days working my business. And by the end of the 4 years, it was doing well. And I did meet my then husband who wanted to move to San Diego, California, which is where I am now. So at 29 years old, I sold that business. I sold the business for well over six figures, which at the time for me, I'm a kid that grew up with very little. There was a time that we were on food stamps, and I had very conflicting financial stuff going on in my childhood. I had both parents had remarried, and they both had very different financial landscapes. And so, given that, I really didn't know what to do with money or how to interact with it. And I remember thinking, this is Oprah money. Like my first six-figure windfall at age 29, this is Oprah money. I'm going to be rich forever. Unfortunately, when you move to San Diego, which is a very, I think it's currently number one of like the most expensive place to live in the U.S. And at the time I was married to someone who struggled severely with addiction, which is very expensive. That money vanished overnight. I mean, I think it was realistically like 6 to 8 months, the money was gone. Within that as well, to take personal responsibility, I also had some failed businesses. I was like, I want to be in the online space. I don't want to do the brick and mortar thing again for me personally. And how do I get into the online space? This is 2016, before COVID and all of that. And I ultimately aligned myself with a direct sales health and fitness company. So life biz lesson number 2 is that if you want to do something, the reason I had success in that direct sales, because I was a theater kid and a Pilates instructor. I had no selling experience. And I was kind of like icked out by it, quite frankly. Like I was like, oh, I've got to go like sell things to people. I had a really bad relationship with sales for a long time, which is now like one of my very favorite things and like something I'm so passionate about teaching on. So go figure. But the lesson is that whatever the thing is you want to do, the reason I had success is I was teachable and I aligned myself with the people that knew what they were doing. So at the time, I, joined a top team of a direct sales company because I figured they must be doing something right. And I literally, if they handed me a little worksheet on what I was supposed to do, I did it. I just did it. And I kept my head down. And the other kind of life biz lesson number 3 is I kept my blinders on for something that you really want. And if you are here, I feel like there's a couple different populations in this group. So let me speak to both sides. If you are here as I'm still tiptoeing into 2025. It's winter, I'm cozy. This is typically if we don't go based off of the Gregorian economic calendar, we kind of should be hibernating right now. And I get that. So if you are here, do not feel like I am going to push you into anything you don't want to do. On the flip side, if you are here and you are like, this is the year I freaking go for it and I 10x all the things, then you got to put your blinders on. You've got to keep the vision for exactly what it is that you want to do and align yourself with people that are going to hold your feet to the fire, if you will. So that's how I had success in that company. I was with them for I think 6 to 7 years. And then, like all things, we have dips and valleys. That business did very, very well for me during the COVID years. Because you guys, I was selling at-home fitness and I was selling an additional income opportunity to work from home, which is exactly where we all were from 2020 to 2022. And then in 2022, it wasn't like a rock bottom, but it was not a great year in the sense that the world reopened. And so people wanted to go to SoulCycle. They didn't need another stream of income. And my income plummeted overnight. Aside from that, I also had kind of been there, done that with that company. I had done all the things for 6 years. I had hit such a plateau of growth that I really was kind of scratching my head as what was next. The funny thing is, years prior, I got certified in life and business coaching, not really to do it, not to be a life coach, but I thought these skills will help my team that I'm working with that company, help their reach their revenue goals and their income goals and all of that. And it wasn't until I had this kind of divine moment, the end of 2022, where someone, so if I need to be this person for you, I love to be this person, someone spoke life into me. And it was a peer that I had run alongside with for years that had made a pivot and said, I see you, you can do this. I know you have the skill sets to move forward on the things that you want to move forward in. And there's a better way. There's a better way than whatever it is that you're currently doing. So that's where we are present day, 2023. I hung my shingle and for the past 2 years have had massive success in my eyes, which to me means, which to me as I define that is I'm a mama and I want to be a business lady. So my goal is to always reach over 6 figures in part-time hours. So that's like one of my big goals, and to do it also without hustling my face off on social media. That's like a big why for me. So that's a little bit insight into my story. Obviously, I'm an open book, so ask any and all questions as they come up for you. And then what you're going to do today. So here are your action items, because I can't uncover for you. You have to uncover for you. And so I hopefully made it in a way that was very, very accessible. As I mentioned before, there's not an original thought in the personal development world. Everything that I am bringing to you over these next couple days are like hopefully going to save you thousands of dollars and thousands of hours, as they are all nuggets and resources that have been given to me through different mentors, and the shoulders, where they say I stand on the shoulder of giants, that I have accumulated over the years. And so I've kind of handpicked different things to come together. Today we're taking a spin on Darren Hardy, who wrote Living Your Best Year Ever, The Compound Effect, world-renowned speaker and all of the things, businessman. And so we're taking some of his concepts, and then I'm going to put a spin on it in the business perspective as well. So when you open up your Google Drive folder, which will be posted as soon as I hop off, you will see 5 steps. Number 1, I always like to start with the positive, is what happened in 2024? The good, the bad, the ugly, or the good, it just gives you, so things like, what were the 5 to 10 greatest happenings, top 3 accomplishments, who did you learn from, who influenced you? And if you don't know these things, the best tip I can give you here is to pull up your Instagram story archive, your calendar, your phone, your camera roll on your phone, so you can be like, oh, I totally forgot I did that thing way back in March. So it just gives you context of like what actually took place last year. Step 2, this is from Darren Hardy. So this is the thing that I decided I did want to leave in, because I think, as much as we're focusing on business, like, how are your relationships? And what I like about this assessment is that so often our brains go broad. If you say like, oh, how are your relationships? You say good or not good. But this helps you get a little more granular, like, how are your romantic relationships? Are you spending the amount of time that you want to spend in each category? Have you forgiven people that you need to forgive? Same thing with physical health. Like physical health, we sometimes just think like, oh, weight management, sleep. But what if it's like, are you stretching? Are you weight training? Are you consuming too much caffeine? Like all of those kind of granular things make a big difference. Once you do step 2, it will give you the life wheel. And so this is how you can see visually, for my visual learners, all my creative ADHDers. I love you so much. You're like, literally all of my clients are creative ADHDers. And so the life wheel will give you the visual of where your like imbalances are. There's also, I always like to say this, there's a category on the life wheel where it says time, and that's not reflected in Darren Hardy's quiz. So when you do that you're going to use your best judgment for. You're going to say, like, basically ask yourself the question, does my calendar rule me, or do I rule my calendar? Because that's going to be a big one in our work together as well. All right, last 2 steps. Step 4 is for the person let me jump ahead. Step 5 is for the person that doesn't know what they want. And the best way that you can figure out what you want is that I bet you know what you don't want. You do not want, so this is the contrast and clarity exercise. I bet you can list 10 things in your life right now that you would love to be a little bit better. So that exercise, I give you some examples so you can see it, and then there will be a blank page for you to actually do it yourself. And then finally, what makes this group different this year, which I want to see all of yours, and do like a one-on-one with you for all of them, is the aligned biz audit. So what makes a business, whether it's a service, a product, a passion product, a corporation, there's 3 things that make a business. You have to be able to market it, you have to be able to sell it, and you have to have your deliverables. That's it. So when you go through this worksheet, you'll see I start the top 3 with that exact thing. You are going to give yourself your own personal ranking. And I like to say 1 to 10. Keep it simple. Like, how do I feel about how good the marketing in my business is working for me? Scale of 1 to 10. And then there'll be a section right next to it that says, what's my version of a level 10? Because everyone's going to be different, right? Like we all have different dreams here for our business and income goals. So what's my version of a level 10? And then what I did below those three are more granular things that will help you get a little bit more insight into your business. So like when we talk about marketing, what that really means is meeting people. Like I know we have other coaches that are watching this one, like other life coaches or consultants. Your whole job is to meet people and tell them what you do. That's it. All the other fancy stuff can fade away. But there is other things on there like how are you making your offers? How are you somebody in your business that's doing a consultation, or is there some way like basically how can they inquire about your product or your service? Is it a website? Is it a face-to-face meeting, a phone call? What does your social media look like? What does your email marketing look like? So you're just going to take some time today. I would say realistically, maybe a half hour. I mean, the more you can give to it, the better. But the main thing is give yourself like quiet time and space to do it when you can. And then tomorrow we're going to come back with all of this information, and I'm going to teach you how to formulate it moving forward. So, all right, that is what I have for you today. I think that's everything. If you have any questions, post them here. I will post the resources, and I will see you tomorrow morning.